I don't remember deciding to become the responsible one. It just happened the way erosion happens, slow, unannounced, until the shape of things changes. I worked mornings at a warehouse and evenings at a cafe. The hours stitched together into a blur that smelled like cardboard dust and burned coffee. When my sister got into her program, it felt obvious that I would help. Tuition first, then books, then rent, because the campus housing filled up and the place she found was temporary. Temporary has a way of lingering. The payments went out on autopilot. I told myself it was fine because I believed in momentum. If she could keep moving forward, so could I. When she sent photos from internships and rooftop parties, I felt a small, careful pride. I didn't need thanks. I needed the arrangement to make sense. Family dinners were where sense went to be re-edited. My parents asked her about her plans, her prospects, the way she was positioning herself. They asked me if I was still holding down the cafe job, as if it were a hobby. I didn't correct anyone. I learned to eat quietly. The night it happened, the table was loud with clinking glasses and overlapping opinions. Someone mentioned career trajectories. Someone else joked about finding yourself. My sister laughed and said lightly, like it was nothing, "Well, at least I'm not still grinding like a loser." It wasn't meant to wound. That was the problem. It landed with the casual certainty of something she believed. I remember the way my fork paused midair. No one reacted. The word hung there, not challenged, not clarified. I finished chewing because the alternative felt dramatic. I didn't say anything. I drove home and listened to the engine tick as it cooled, counting the sounds until my breathing slowed. That night I opened my bank app, then the lease PDF she'd emailed months earlier, asking me to just take a look. My name was on it as guarantor. I read the clauses the way you read a map when you finally admit you're lost. The decision didn't arrive with anger. It came with arithmetic. I sent a message the next morning. I would cover the remainder of the current month. After that, I wouldn't be paying her rent. I kept the language clean. Dates, amounts, no commentary. She called immediately. I let it ring. When I listened to the voicemail later, it was all disbelief, not apologies, not questions about why, just confusion, as if the ground had shifted without permission. The authority entered 2 weeks later, on a Tuesday, in the form of an email with a subject line that did not use our names. The property management company explained, politely and clearly, that without continued payment from the guarantor, the lease would revert to the tenant alone. There was a deadline. There were consequences. No one raised their voice. Nothing could be argued. At the next family gathering, the questions came anyway. Why was she stressed? Why was she having issues with her place? My mother looked at me, waiting for reassurance the way she always had. I didn't clear my throat. I didn't apologize for the pause before I spoke. I stopped paying her rent, I said. I've been covering it since she moved in. I won't anymore. Silence rearranged the room. My sister stared at me like she'd never seen my face from this angle. Someone asked why. Because I can't afford to be a loser, I said, and left it there. Not a jab, a mirror. There was no explosion. No one stood up to defend anyone else. The authority had already done its work. The lease existed. The numbers existed. Reality had paperwork. After that, the relationships changed shape. My sister downsized her apartment and her stories. She stopped sending photos. When we spoke, it was stiff, careful. My parents learned new facts about my schedule, my hours, the weight of what I'd been carrying. They didn't apologize. They adjusted. My life didn't become easier. I still worked too much. I still felt tired in my bones, but something loosened. The money stayed in my account long enough to become options instead of obligations. I slept through my days off. I bought groceries without calculating the week backwards. Sometimes I replay that dinner, the word she used, the way it slipped out. I don't feel triumphant when I think of it. I feel clear. Boundaries, I learned, don't announce themselves. They appear as endings. They are enforced not by speeches, but by systems that do not care how anyone feels. I didn't win anything. I stopped losing myself.